Australian dealer forecourts in the Western Australian grain belt are stocked with tractors carrying Vario and Powershift transmission badges that represent some of the most sophisticated continuously variable driveline engineering in agricultural machinery. The price tags on those machines run well past 200,000 Australian dollars for a fully specified mid-range unit. What the forecourt does not display is the post-warranty transmission service schedule, or the bill that arrives when a Vario or Powershift fault develops outside the warranty window, in a region where the nearest specialist dealer is several hours away, and mobile service rates reflect that distance. Repair costs like this are increasingly common for WA farmers running Vario transmissions past their warranty window, and a 9,500 Australian dollar partial repair bill is, in the Western Australian context, the lower end of what a transmission event can cost. This video examines the cost structure behind that figure, and why a composite WA grain grower in exactly that situation made a different purchasing decision with the next machine. The story presented here is a composite narrative, constructed from a consistent pattern of costs and experiences reported in Western Australian workshop discussions, rural industry media, and online machinery communities. It is not a documented individual case with a verified name and date. It is an accurate and representative illustration of a cost pattern that independent workshop data confirms is real and repeatable in the WA grain belt context. The scenario is a Western Australian grain grower running a mid-range continuously variable transmission tractor in the 150 to 180 horsepower bracket through a broadacre grain program in the Eastern Wheat Belt. The machine has been reliable through its warranty period. Services have been completed at the correct intervals through the authorized dealer. At approximately 2,200 hours, a fault code appears on the cab display related to the Vario transmission hydraulic control system. The fault is not catastrophic in the sense of immediate mechanical failure. The machine can still move, but forward speed control has become erratic under load, and a second fault code has appeared indicating a pressure sensor fault within the variator circuit. This category of fault, a hydraulic control fault within a continuously variable transmission, requires dealer-level diagnostic access to resolve correctly. An independent workshop in the wheat belt cannot access the proprietary calibration functions needed to identify whether the fault originates in the hydraulic circuit, the pressure sensor, the electronic control module, or a combination of components. A mobile service call is arranged from the nearest dealer, 230 kilometers away. Call-out attendance cost, approximately 480 to 580 Australian dollars, including travel. Initial diagnostic session, 2 hours at the mobile service rate of 160 to 180 Australian dollars per hour. Total for call-out and diagnosis, approximately 960 to 1,140 Australian dollars. The diagnostic session identifies a failed hydraulic pressure sensor and degraded sealing within the variator hydraulic circuit. The pressure sensor is a dealer-stocked component. The variator seal kit requires ordering from the WA Regional Parts Warehouse, with an expected arrival of 3 to 5 business days. The machine sits during the wait. The seal kit arrives. A second mobile service visit is required for the repair itself. 6 hours of labor at the mobile service rate. Parts cost for the pressure sensor and seal kit combined at approximately 1,400 to 1,700 Australian dollars, plus the second call-out charge. Total for the second visit, approximately 2,400 to 3,200 Australian dollars. The seal replacement and sensor replacement resolve the pressure sensor fault code. The forward speed erratic behavior under load does not resolve. A third diagnostic session is required. The third session identifies wear in the variator disc pack, a component that sits at the mechanical center of the continuously variable transmission architecture, and that cannot be accessed without a full transmission removal. The repair options at this point are a full variator rebuild, which requires the machine to be transported to a workshop with transmission lift capacity and specialist tooling. Cost for transport from the eastern wheat belt to the nearest equipped dealer: approximately 800 to 1,200 Australian dollars each way. Or acceptance of the fault and operation with reduced transmission performance until a full rebuild can be scheduled. A partial rebuild is quoted. The variator disc pack replacement, performed in the dealer workshop following transport, carries a parts and labor cost of approximately 5,800 to 7,000 Australian dollars. Combined with the 2 mobile service calls, diagnostic sessions, sensor replacement, seal kit, and transport, the total bill for this repair sequence reaches 9,200 to 11,800 Australian dollars. The 9,500 Australian dollar figure represents a realistic midpoint in that range. The machine was off the property for 11 days across the 3 service events. The 11-day period overlapped with the last week of the seeding window. This is not a description of a failure mode that is unique to one manufacturer. Continuously variable transmissions across multiple premium European brands carry service cost structures that reflect the genuine engineering complexity of the component and the specialist tooling required to service it correctly. The Western Australian context amplifies those costs through distance and the corresponding mobile service rate and transport expense components that a farm in a more dealer-proximate location does not carry to the same degree. A Vario or Powershift repair in the Riverina or the Victorian Mallee, closer to dealer infrastructure, generates lower total bills. Not because the transmission components cost less, but because the access cost component is smaller. The comparison that makes the cost differential concrete is the Fendt Vario's own service cost structure. Because Fendt is the brand that the composite WA farmer chooses for the next machine, and the choice requires explanation that goes beyond a reaction to a single repair bill. Fendt, distributed in Australia through AGCO Australia, uses the Vario transmission as its own core technology. The Fendt Vario and the transmission architecture behind it are among the most closely associated brand and transmission combinations in the premium tractor market. The reason the composite farmers move to Fendt is not a contradiction of the cost argument, is that the decision is based on a specific aspect of Fendt's service model in the current Australian market. The structured Fendt service program, which includes transmission inspection and fluid analysis at defined hour intervals, designed to identify variator wear before it progresses to the disc pack replacement stage. The economic argument for the Fendt in the WA context is not that its transmission is cheaper to repair. It is that a structured inspection program that identifies seal degradation at 2,000 hours and replaces it for approximately 1,200 to 1,600 Australian dollars before the variator disc pack is affected. Costs substantially less than allowing the same degradation to progress to a full variator rebuild event. The 9,500 Australian dollar bill in the composite scenario is, from this perspective, not a failure of the transmission architecture. It is a failure of the inspection schedule to catch the seal fault before it became a disc pack fault. The financial case for Fendt in the WA grain belt is, in the end, a case for a structured transmission management program, delivered by a brand whose whole product identity is built around the continuous variable architecture and whose service network has organized itself accordingly. Known weak points in the Fendt mid-range Vario that WA workshop discussions identify for monitoring include the axle drive seal on four-wheel drive configurations, which can develop weeping at around 2,500 hours in the high vibration conditions of wheat belt rocky paddocks, with repair cost approximately 280 to 320 Australian dollars through an AGCO accredited dealer, and the cab suspension leveling valve, which benefits from inspection at around 2,000 hours in continuous high-speed paddock transport applications, with adjustment or replacement costing approximately 240 to 300 Australian dollars. Warranty terms for Fendt in Australia are administered through AGCO Australia and should be confirmed with the Australian dealer at the time of purchase, as terms are specific to the Australian market. Across the cost structure examined in this video, one truth is stark. The most expensive transmission repair is not the one with the highest parts cost. It is the one that was allowed to progress through 3 stages of damage before the first service visit resolved anything lasting. A transmission management program that catches seal wear at stage 1 costs a fraction of the bill that arrives when stage 3 is the entry point. Sometimes the most financially conservative decision in the WA grain belt is the structured service commitment that most farmers treat as the expensive option. If this breakdown changed the way you think about transmission service scheduling on a continuously variable machine, hit subscribe, leave a like, and share it with someone in the wheat belt who is currently running a Vario past its warranty window. Tell us in the comments whether a transmission event has shaped a fleet decision on your own operation, and how the repair cost compared to what you expected going in.